Hello, everyone, and welcome to Let's Talk Podcast. I'm your host, Kamisha Whitaker-Moore, and tonight I am joined by my co-host and daughter.
Hi. My name is Kaylin, and today we have a special guest, my friend Bree, and I'm going to let her introduce herself.
I'm Bree. I am a friend of Kaylin's, and I'm happy to be here.
And how did y'all even meet?
So a little bit of backstory about me and Bree.
Mhm.
We work at Total Medical Supply together,
Mm-hmm.
but I didn't meet Bree until I moved to the new CGM department. And when I first met Bree,
She didn't like me.
I didn't like Bree. And I tell Bree all the time, like, Bree is not like a person that
She'd
I
be
would
cool.
just be friends with on the day-to-day basis.
That's so funny because she
Lord.
just said that about her other friend, and when she said that, I was like, what about Kaylin?
And so we just started talking and every day at work, and then she invited me to Radiant one day. And so I think the following Sunday I came, maybe like around
so.
Christmas, something like that in December. I went and I fell in love with it.
Yeah.
And then I don't think I ever looked back I just started going. And so Bree is honestly one of the strongest people I know, for real, because she has been through so much, and she will tell you she has been through a lot, but she is super strong. Her faith is super strong. And sometimes, I don't ever tell her this, but like her faith, it just gives me so much hope, and it gives me like a lot of faith, and just her talking about Jesus and everything like that. It's just so encouraging, and it makes me like, it gives me chills for real. Cause I don't know, I don't think everything that she's been through,
Mm-hmm.
I probably could not deal with it how she has. And it's very like, oh, she is so strong. I don't know. Girl, I applaud you.
Well, good. We are definitely happy that you are here today. Today we're gonna talk with Bree, and we're just gonna go down or just talk about her life, and we're gonna let her talk about the things that she wants to talk about today. We're gonna just listen to her. We're gonna open our hearts and minds and just kind of intake what Bree has to say, and then we'll kind of go from there. So everybody get a cup of water, tea, or whatever. Sit back, chill out, and just relax and just enjoy the episode. Hi, Bree.
Hello.
It's nice to meet you.
You too.
The first time I met you was on yesterday, I do believe, at church.
Yes, ma'am.
So I went to church with Kaylin on yesterday, and she was pretty excited about having you here. And I am excited about having you here as well. We want to hear from you. So we're going to let you take the floor and just tell us what you want to tell us today.
I mean, I don't know really where to start, but I am 29. I have 2 kids, 8-year-old girl, 3-year-old boy. I am a single mom with them too. So my son's dad helps out a lot. My daughter's dad does not. So pretty much she's the only one. I'm the only one she has.
Right.
But yeah, just been through a lot, and I think that a lot of what I've been through can help other women who've been through a lot of the similar things.
Gotcha. So I know here we like to talk about different things that we have been through with the hopes at the end of that somebody will definitely take note or take what you say and apply it to their lives. There's a lot of things that we don't know about different people that watch us. There's a lot of people going through things silently, and they're suffering and with no outlet. And we want to make this platform something that you can listen to, you can see, you can hear, and knowing that we're super transparent and honest here, and letting you know a little bit about who we are and what we've done and what we've been through. Because if we can make it, they can too.
Yeah.
So tell us about your story, Bree.
Well, the last 5 years being in church it kind of made sense for my story. Like I didn't understand when I was 3, my mom was killed in a car accident. So at the age 3, you're like, where's my mom?
Yeah.
Like, why is she not picking me up? And that was tough because that started my rebellion, and that started my, like, I guess, I can't think of the word, but like regret, like not really regretting, but like not really taking to my parents, like
Right.
not accepting the fact that they were here and my mom wasn't.
Right.
And then shortly after, my mom's brother, which would have been my uncle, actually was molesting me and my sister. So at the age of 3, almost 4, somewhere between there, 3 and 4, is when he had started that. So to me, like in my mind, I'm like, what is this? Like I'm introduced to something at such a young age and I'm not understanding what it is.
Yeah.
And so at that age, like now looking back, I'm like, that's the devil trying to take me out at such a young age. And then like even comparing it, I've heard a sermon about how the king tried to take Jesus out at a baby stage. So if the devil can take you out at a baby stage, he can, stop you. And that kind of gave me hope in my adult years because I'm like, I made it from my baby stage and made it to a teenager. But even in my teenage years, I started rebellion even more, putting myself in situations for men to take advantage of me, moving out of my parents' house at a young age before I even knew what the world was.
Yeah.
So, I mean, just going through tragic events so young has made me grow up, but it's also changed my perspective the last couple years being in church.
Yeah.
And realizing that what he meant for evil, it will turn for God's good.
For
So,
sure.
I mean, it's been a long journey. So,
It sounds like it. So let's talk a little bit about your mom. So you say your mom was killed in a car accident
Mhm.
at the age of 3?
I was 3.
You were
She was
3.
33.
Okay. And so at that point, your dad was a single dad raising you and your sister?
No, my dad left when my mom was pregnant with me. So I'd never met my dad. I recently found out probably 5 or 6 years ago who he even was.
Really?
Never met him. Met my sister from that side because she reached out and found me on Facebook. But nope, from that point when my mom passed, my aunt, which was her sister, took me and my sister in. So they became a household of 4 to 6 overnight.
How was that?
I think for my aunt, it was kind of traumatic because I think about like me now. If I lost my sister, I don't know what I would do. Like she is my rock. So I think for her, it was a lot of mental battle, and in her mental battle, it affected us and raising us. I think my parents were great. Like I'm not gonna say they did anything wrong because I don't know what I would do if I was in that situation.
So true.
So I applaud them for doing the best they could.
Yeah.
I think some things could have been better, yeah. But again, she was facing like mental battles daily from losing her sister and having to raise 2 more kids.
Yeah, like overnight, it's
Yeah.
just like we go from some type of normal situation to losing my sister and my best friend.
Yeah.
And now I'm raising my sister's children. And every day I see you and I'm reminded
Yeah.
of my sister.
Yep.
And then not only that, we go from a household that's pretty big to a bigger household.
Yeah.
And so I can definitely see how that could be taxing on her as
Yeah.
well as the whole family because the whole dynamic shifted just a little bit.
Yep. It was strange. Like even for me and my sister, we were all we knew, and then we had brothers all of a sudden, like they had 2 boys. So we went from being mama's girls, like just us 3 girls in the house, to now there's boys in the house, now there's a father figure in the house, and that was all different for us.
Yeah.
So
I can only imagine
Yeah.
that. Really. Girl, so honestly, I feel like I'm getting emotional already. I really want to talk about, and if you don't want to, we don't have to, your uncle
hmm
at the age of 3 and 4
Yep.
with you and your sister.
yeah. I have memories of it. Like I've through the years before I really found God, I would have nightmares. I used to have nightmares about it. I would be like in my room and I would like feel almost his like I don't want to say spirit, but like in my dream, it would feel that real, like he was there again.
Yeah.
And then it's weird because I like see him in pictures and I can like, or back then I would see the pictures and I could just feel the whole situation again, but I don't remember the actual being there. But when I get triggered, I can feel, I get taken back to that place.
Totally understand.
So, and then like when you go through any kind of sexual trauma like that, I feel like it opens up doors later in life. Cause like even at the age of 15, 16, I just thought that's what you had to do with men.
Yeah.
Like nobody ever told me it wasn't normal. And so that like opened the doors to so many things, to being introduced to stuff at such a young age. But yeah, he went to jail. He was in prison. And then 4 years ago, it's crazy because I started going to church 5 years ago and I wanted to work on my own personal healing journey. And little did I know, when you're healing, you have to forgive people that don't deserve your forgiveness. So as I'm like walking out this forgiveness, I remember it was December right before New Year's, and I was like, I don't want to go into the new year with any like hate in my heart towards the woman who killed my mom in the wreck or to this man. Well, then in January of 2019, 5 years ago, he was released from prison
Mhm.
like 60 years early because the state of Texas didn't want to pay for his cancer treatment. So to me, it's like they failed us.
Yeah.
And then he was making Facebooks and trying to add us as family and being just crazy.
Yeah.
So that was like, as soon as I forgave him, the devil threw it back in my face that he was out. And then had my 2-year-old daughter at the time, or 3-year-old daughter, and I'm like having nightmares of her with him. So it was just like trauma after trauma, knowing
Yes.
this man was 60 miles down the road. So that was hard, but the Lord, he really carried me through it because I didn't want to live. I didn't want my daughter around this. And it was like setting in depression over me. And I was suffering with suicidal thoughts because at the age of 16, I tried to take pills. And luckily, like, it didn't take me out. So like I just kept thinking of ways like, how can I get out of this? How can I stop feeling this pain? But drugs was not the answer, and I started doing drugs, started drinking. But God really has brought me through, though.
Yeah.
Like he really has.
For sure. We can sit here for a while and we can just honestly reminisce on all the bad things that happened. We can think about the uncle that put us in a place where no child
Yeah.
should ever feel like they need to be. No 3-year-old, no 4-year-old, no nothing. I'm telling you, because as moms, we're our child's or children's protector.
Yeah.
We are mama bears for sure. Don't come over here talking crazy because that will never happen. And then we hold on so tight to what we love and what we try to protect. And I understand being vulnerable and at 3 and 4, you're thinking or you know nothing but love.
Mm-hmm.
You know nothing but protection. You know nothing but that. But as a 3 and 4-year-old, for you and your sisters, that was something that you didn't have or didn't hold on or didn't wasn't expressed to you at that time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It kind of, so there was other things that was introduced to you at such a young age to where there is rebellion.
Mm-hmm.
There is a lot of things going on. There is promiscuous activities and different things like that. And so I understand that. But I also know that when God has a calling on your life,
Mm-hmm.
that nothing and no one can stop that.
Yeah.
Nothing. And honestly, I'm sitting here looking at you with a smile on your face, beautiful. And I understand. I don't even know what's inside of your mind or how you're feeling at this very moment. But I see, like, I'm happy.
Yeah.
I'm good today
Yeah.
because honestly, church has definitely done that for you.
Yeah.
So when did your healing journey begin, and what did that really look like in depth?
Well, I started going to Radiant
Mhm.
about 5 years ago. Actually, it was 9/11. I just remember because 9/11.
Yeah.
But they had a campus on service on campus. Sorry. And they were doing it at A&M at the time. And the guy I was friends with kept inviting me and kept inviting me, and I was like, I'm not going to church.
Yeah.
Like the last church I went to kind of burned me. Like it was like a very weird spot for me. So I had started smoking,
Yeah.
weed, marijuana. I don't know which word to use.
Yeah, use
But
whatever you want, girl.
I was smoking at the
Yeah.
time, and I was going through like a bottle of alcohol within a day or two. Like
Yeah.
sometimes like I'd put my daughter to bed and I would like just drink
Yeah.
till I fell asleep or couldn't feel no more. And then decided to go to this church service, and I was like, I'm gonna get high before
Yeah.
because like I don't want to go in here vulnerable. Well, I went in and it like completely wrecked me. So I was like, okay, well then they didn't have a service again until they were in the building they're in now. So I went back and I was like, let me see if this is really what I felt, or was it just emotions that I was feeling? Because sometimes, you can get the spirit, your emotions
Yes.
confused.
Mm-hmm.
So I kept going back. And then I would say around December and January, after going a couple months, I started connecting with people. And then the Lord's funny because like there was one girl I was like, she is not my type. I would never talk to her. Like I don't want to be cool with her, and she's my best friend now.
Really?
Like lived with her for years. Like my kids love her. Like best friend. Like I would just hurt somebody behind her.
Yeah.
But she like connected with me, and other people would connect with me. Pastor KJ would connect with me, and it was just all these people surrounding me, showing me that I was better than, like, I was still doing some of the things I was doing.
Yeah.
Still sleeping around, still smoking, drinking, and they didn't judge me. Like, they didn't like tell me like or try to condemn me or make me feel bad. They accepted me and my daughter. Took us out to eat, just little things here and there. And I was like, well, these people just are really happy. Like, what's going on? And then like I heard my pastor's story, like how he was a whole atheist. And I'm like, how are you so happy and joyful? And he's like, I healed, I moved on, I accepted God. And I was like, well, I need to walk through some healing.
Yeah.
So I would never talk about, being molested or my mom dying. Like, it was always a trigger for me. But like slowly through the services or through discipleship with other people, I just kept opening up more. And I think one day, I know it was in January, the next year after he had got out of prison, or 2 years after, we went to a service in Dallas. And there's this apostle lady from California, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And she like is very anointed, and like demons would manifest when she was like coming on stage. And I'm like, wow, like if there's anything in me that's not clean, I want it out.
Right.
And I didn't like manifest or none of that, but like she like stopped at the end, and she was like speaking over. At the time I was diagnosed with something, and I was like, there is no way, people are going to love me with this. People are going to treat me the same with this. And she talked on it at the end. And I was like, that was like physical healing for me, spiritual healing, mental healing. And I drove the whole way home with my friend, and we just talked about it. And she was, just telling me like, I have to walk out the purity. Like, I have to start being pure.
Mm-hmm.
And, cause I was still, my biggest struggle was sleeping around, because again, I was introduced to it at such a young age.
So true.
So like when I was in a man's presence, my mind was like, you have to do this. Like, this is what you're supposed to do. And I was like, that's going to be hard. She's like, no, you got to walk out your purity if you want your healing.
Right.
She's like, you can't still be in sin and trying to heal at the same time. So I walked in that for about a year and a half, 2 years. And then I did, mess up again, but the Lord is gracious. So he has protected me still. And then, just the healing part of it, I don't know, it kind of like came in steps. Like, I had to first heal the lady who killed my mom. Like, she was in the wrong. And then I had to eventually forgive the man who molested me and my sister. And that was mainly for me. It wasn't for them.
Right.
And like being stuck in your own prison of like trying to self-pity, like that wasn't where I wanted to be forever. So, I just had to forgive them and heal. And like, I don't even know how to explain how you forgive somebody like that. Because if I saw him, I'm sure I wouldn't want nothing to do with him. But like, I would write out letters to all these people, never send them, just for me, saying, I forgive you. Like, my children deserve better. These generational curses have to be broken.
Yes, ma'am.
So like, they're not going to carry what I carried.
Right.
So I just walked out healing the best way I knew how. And I'm still walking in it. Like, I'm not fully healed even from some of my mistakes like this past year or so. Like, I had a miscarriage 7-8 months ago in March. So like, it's just little things here and there that I've slipped up, but he still shows his mercy and grace. And he's like, you're still my child. You're still called.
Every day.
And I don't know, I'm healing from that. I think I've done pretty good healing from that, because it wasn't, not that it wasn't meant to be. It was just I opened that door back up from my purity, and, the devil swoops in when you have an open door, and he took my baby. So, it's not that God wanted me to lose my baby, but I don't know. I'm just walking out healing still, but I've come a long way, but I'm way, way further than I used to be.
It sounds like it, and sometimes it's just not the right time. And just because there is a no now doesn't mean it's going to be a forever no. So I totally agree. I think that the healing process for all of us, it looks a little different. But yet instead we have to heal, and we have to forgive, because God said that we did. But the thing about it is, you're right. You don't forgive for them. You forgive for you. And so what that looks like, honestly, it may not be, Kaylin, I forgive you for being mean to my grandkids or whatever the case may be. it could very well be, you know what? Hey, just write that little letter.
Yeah.
I forgive you. And then we go on because that's for you. Because you can't hold that in. You can't go to heaven with that hate and
Nope.
animosity in your heart. So you definitely have to forgive that. You
Yeah.
know, I I have no lie to tell you. You are strong, sister.
Mm-hmm.
You
Try.
really are. Because there's no way that a lot of people your age would even try to walk in what God has called for them. There's a lot of people with a lot of anger, a
Mm-hmm.
lot of people with a lot of hurt, a lot of people with a lot of whatever the case may be, and they're holding on to that. And they are drinking every day. They're doing more than marijuana. They're doing a lot of things. But the difference is when you know a man
Mm-hmm.
that can heal you from hurt,
Yep.
that can take away everything, all the hurt and the pain, and his grace and mercy is renewed every single day. Why would you not want to swap those out?
Right.
I heard your pastor yesterday because I went to my church first, and then I came to church for Kaylin. And one thing that really resonated with me because you guys were doing this series of brainwashing,
Mm-hmm.
and so he was talking about depression,
Yeah.
and I know you said something about depression,
Mm-hmm.
and he was saying if you really look at the word depression, it is I
I
pressed
pressed
on,
on. Yeah.
and I'm like, I like it
Yeah.
because there's so many people who go through depressing situations. There's so many people who deal with depression every single day, and you choose not to.
Yeah.
You choose to forgive and keep it moving. So he said that, and I'm like, huh,
Mm-hmm.
he's a smart young guy. You know
He
what I mean?
is.
I pressed on because why am I going to sit here and be depressed about a situation that
Can't
I
control.
cannot change? I
Mm.
cannot control. And the only thing I can control is me.
Yep.
At 3 and 4, there was nothing that you could have done
Nope.
differently. You are a baby. And so, honestly, forgiving and moving on and letting Christ fix you is so more important than anything or any pain that anybody can um, cause on you.
Yeah.
So, girl, you are there or getting there. And I mean, honestly, I don't know. I don't know. I feel
I don't
like I
even know.
would be still upset and still struggling with things, but
I mean, I still have days like like Mother's Day. It's always like bittersweet. Like I have my kids; they love me,
yeah.
and my son is actually born on the day my mom was killed.
Mm,
Like his birthday is November 3rd, and she was killed November 3rd.
mm,
So like it was like a way of God giving me like another angel just to show that she's with him. Like I
right.
don't have to worry about it. Like I always dreamed like was she saved? And I mean if she was or wasn't, I don't know. I haven't really talked to family about it, but I mean I'm at peace.
Right.
Whatever. Like I hope I get to heaven and wrap my arms around her, but I mean I don't know, but I don't want my kids to wonder either.
Right.
Like I want my kids to know if I pass tomorrow I'm in heaven.
Right.
And I know that's crazy to say about my mom, but like I don't know. I just don't know. Like I don't know who gets in and who don't.
Right.
It's a heart issue. So um my story like from 5 years ago, when I first started really reading the Bible, the story that I just wanted to be like was the woman with the issue of blood.
Yeah.
Like she was so desperate. She fought through men in the crowds and touched Jesus' cloth.
Mhm.
And like in an instant her faith made her heal. And it wasn't touching him that made her healed, it was her faith.
Right.
So that's just what I really strive to be like. That's my story. That's my favorite story because I just want to be that desperate
Right.
to be just healed by my faith, not by getting close to him or walking with him, even though that's, part of it. I just want my kids to see that we struggled. Sometimes we had to wait till payday for things. Sometimes a bill got paid later. I mean, just sometimes we didn't get what everybody else had and they've seen me cry. Like I used to not let my kids see me cry.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I'm human. They need like my daughter will be like, what's wrong? And I'll explain to her if it's, kid appropriate. But like they just see me way more than what I saw some like my parents, they didn't really show emotion a lot. Like my aunt battled with losing her sister, but like my dad was or my uncle was like very like don't cry, don't nothing. And I'm like, I want my son to know he can cry if he's hurt.
Absolutely.
Like real, like they say real men don't cry. Jesus literally wept.
Yes, he
And that's
did.
the realest man I know.
That
So
you're right about that.
I mean, I just want my kids to know and I want to be better for them. And I can't keep carrying all the past generation curses on me.
You cannot. You're absolutely right. And honestly, I'm really glad that you two met because I don't know, Bree, if the things that you had, if you had never gone through the things that you went through,
Hmm.
do you think that you would be where you are today?
I've asked that too. Like, if my mom was still alive, would I even be saved? Like, would I be in church? If I hadn't been so broken, would have found the altar, like crying on my face? Like, I don't know. I would hope that I would, but like I see people like living their best life, and I'm like, how are you out here just so free without Jesus?
Yeah.
Like, he's literally done and changed my whole life. But I see people who've never been through stuff, and they're like, I believe in Jesus, I'm going to heaven. I'm like, that's not really how it works. You have to
Yeah.
walk with him.
You
Like, this is a
do.
daily, like it says, you have to pick up your own cross and lay your life down. Like, and I know I'm not perfect. Like, I get angry. Like, I can snap so quick if
Yeah.
you like, because I don't like to be just treated wrong. Because I'm like, I didn't do nothing. So
Right.
I have to catch myself sometimes. And like I was telling my best friend the other day, I was like, I feel like even at the job, I had failed as a Christian because I'm not showing like how Jesus would act.
Mhm.
And she's like, well, she's like, Jesus forgives. Like, they're going to have to forgive you. And I was like, it's not even that. I want to be a good example.
Yeah.
And like, even when I quit, walking my purity walk, I was like, how is this a witness to them? Or how
Mhm.
is this a witness to anybody? And so after my miscarriage, I picked back up my purity walk, and I want to keep walking in that because not only for me, but for my daughter.
Yeah.
Like, she's watching me, and she's
Right.
going to ask one day, why did you have me before marriage? Or
Mhm.
like, I don't know. I just want to be a good example. And I know I'm quick at the mouth sometimes, but like, I don't know, being there around them, it gives me like a sense of hope too. Cause I was like, I got saved and I changed, and being in a job where there's so many different personalities and
Yeah.
beliefs, it's kind of hard because you can kind of feel the spiritual tug
Yeah.
sometimes. And I don't know, it's draining sometimes, but then I'll just go home and refill, and I'm like, Lord, like, I'm just gonna keep going to work being the funny person
Yeah.
everybody knows, and show them that you don't have to be a uptight religious Christian.
Yeah.
Like, you can be funny, you can still be yourself and still witness to people, because I feel like that's my best angle at
Yeah.
getting to people. Like, I just be their friend first. I'm not judging them. I'm not asking them about their past. I'm just your friend.
Right.
And like, if I invite you, cool. I've invited people for years. They've never came, but I'm still your friend,
Right.
because Jesus will literally sit with sinners before he sits with saints.
That's true.
So I don't know. I just really strive to be somebody Jesus would be proud of, walking around with people that he walked around with.
Yeah. And
I don't know.
that's it. That's so important. If we're just being honest about the whole thing, because I feel like sometimes we go through things and we never, ever, ever turn over a whole new leaf as
Mm-hmm.
far as like um Christ, or even pay attention to anything that we have going on. We don't even we're not even introduced to church, or we're not even
Mm-hmm.
going to church because it's like I've done this, and I did this, and I did this, and it's all me,
Yeah.
and it's never all us.
No.
And I don't think that people really realize that, because honestly, God has control over every single thing.
Yep.
Every single thing. And whether you accept that or not, it is still factual. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? So it is easy to just join hands at church
Yeah.
and live and walk and talk the way that God wants us to, and do the things that God has commanded us to do. Because honestly, one thing I do know is this: regardless of what you're thinking, your thoughts are not God's thoughts. You know what I'm saying? We
Mm.
can't even understand what
Yeah.
God has in store for us because we're thinking on a lower level,
Yep.
and we have to think up here. But I do know that God put you two together for a reason. I believe that strong-heartedly, because my child, at one point, she was lost. She was, Bray, and she was just kind of going through things, and kind of tugging and kind of fighting, and kind of losing, and you watching your child do this,
Yeah.
and then one day we got a friend named Bree. You hear me?
Or that's really how it went for
We got
real.
a
Aw.
friend named Bree, and then my friend Bree has gone through all of these
Yeah.
things, but my friend Bree's faith is on 10. And so therefore, because my friend Bree has gone through all of these things, and my friend Bree's faith is on 10, guess what? You got
Yeah,
another
I didn't
friend.
say my friend breathe that many times, but you get the point.
But her faith is on 10. And think that I know that God can take the broken,
Mm-hmm.
the wounded, the hurt, and he can make them who he needs them to be. And
Right.
sometimes I really think that we go through things because God is trying to make us.
Mm-hmm.
And when he makes us, that's when we have people following us. So our light shines every single day. So yes, will we mess up? Sometimes we will.
Yeah.
But do we give up? No, ma'am, we don't. Because if God didn't give up on us, why are we giving up on him?
Right.
We got to keep it moving, Bree. And Caitlin, we do. And honestly, I'm grateful for you, ma'am.
Well, thank you.
You are definitely a strong person. I'm telling you, I'm just like, Bree, a lot of things that you went through, I don't know if I could have, I don't know what my journey would look like. I don't know what my walk in purity would look like. I don't know what my walk in forgiveness would look like
Mm-hmm.
because sometimes people tend to hold grudges, especially if you hurt me. I don't know.
Yeah.
But just listening to you, honestly, makes me want to be a better person. Listening to
Mm-hmm.
you makes me want to do better. And I pride myself on trying to do the right things at all times, but yet and still, sometimes we can be a little slack, a little lax, and do whatever. But
Yeah.
it definitely makes me want to be a better person. Really. Kaylin, you have anything you would like to say on today, ma'am?
Um, I really do just applaud how strong you are. Don't cry, Bree, because I might cry. But how strong you are, your faith, and everything that you have been through. I'm telling you, if it was me, I probably could not do it. I thank you for introducing me to Radiant. Radiant has definitely changed my life for the better, like my mom said. And actually, like, I love going to church. Like growing up, my mom used to force us to go to church. Like it's
Good.
Sunday, make sure I go to church. Coming in late at night on a Saturday night,
One
early
of those
morning from
days.
partying. Make sure y'all at church at 11 o'clock.
In your
I
club
used I
clothes.
used to hate I used to hate it, but now I can honestly say I love going to church. My kids love going to church,
Mm-hmm.
and But back to you, I do applaud you, and I thank you for introducing me to church. And thank you for being my friend.
Yeah. All right.
So we like to leave the episode with a positive. All the negative that you went through,
Mm-hmm.
all the hurtful things that you went through, losing your mother, being molested, sexually abused, alcohol, different things like that. What can we leave, or what can you tell someone that may be going through the same thing that you went through, or someone who's going through the same thing that you went through, um, has not forgiven, and honestly is on this journey of hopelessness? What advice can you give someone, Bree?
Mm. I don't know. Forgiving is probably the hardest part about being a Christian because
Mm.
people don't deserve the forgiveness. But then I look at all the stuff I've done and the hurt I've caused, and I don't deserve it either.
Yeah.
And God still forgives us. Like, all he says is you have to ask. And
Yeah.
these people aren't asking for forgiveness, and they probably won't ever.
Right.
But as far as unforgiveness is like, or my pastor said, it's like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die.
Right.
Like you're just poisoning yourself with unforgiveness. So I would say, like, anybody going through it, talk to somebody. My biggest thing was shutting everybody out, putting up walls, and pretending like using my humor and my outgoing personality as a defense mechanism, and keeping people at a distance. Like, you can't get too close, don't poke at that. But when you let your guard down and let people in, they just show you the parts of you that you can't see sometimes. So my biggest thing is community with believers and talking about it, counseling. Like, my parents had took me to so many counselors and I hated it. And then when I finally went on my own, I was like, it's not that bad.
Right.
Like, somebody's listening to me, somebody
Right.
cares, and people do care. Like, they would rather sit there and listen to you than be at your funeral.
Right.
So, like, taking yourself to that darkest level is not an option for me. So I would just say talk to somebody and work out that forgiveness. That's the biggest thing, I think.
Good. Caitlin, what about you? What would you say to someone who is not been in a situation with Bree, but honestly looking for for God, searching or having a friend that's full of faith and someone is just like they feel like they're lost, what advice would you give someone?
First of all, find a good church.
Mhm.
I say find a good church, and I mean that because when you find a good church and you understand, and then you're trying your best to walk, the right way, it really helps as well. Um, Find good friends, and I agree with Bree. Talk to people,
Mm.
because if I would have never met Bree, I would have never known nothing, anything she would explain to y'all today, because she hides it so well. Like, she is very funny. She's outgoing. She's outspoken, and just getting close with her. That's when she started to like open up and just tell me, "This happened to me. This happened to me." You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So I would just say, just talk to somebody.
Gotcha. So my point to take away from this, and I'm just going to repeat what their pastor said on yesterday. If you're going through a situation and you are depressed, or you're going through a situation similar to Breeze, and if you feel like you're hopeless and there's nowhere to turn, nowhere to go, no one to talk to, and you're feeling that depression seeping in, one thing I do know that I heard on yesterday is depression is easy when you're isolated.
Mhm.
So find good friends. Now, you can't have Bree because that's my baby's friend, but find a friend like Bree. Um, Stop being isolated. Kind of get around or find someone that you can talk to, someone that's going to pour into you all the positivity and the love that you're needing. Also, forgive. Forgive is the biggest thing. And if depression is something that you're battling, again, I pressed on. Remember that. I pressed on. And honestly, I promise you, if you're looking for God, and if you're looking for somebody that can listen or touch you or just feel you or love you, God is that person. And if you need somebody physically, I'm telling you, these girls are more than happy to kind of return that favor and to love on you and to speak positively into your life. So, but that is my takeaway. Just pray and let God do whatever He's gonna do for you. All right. So until the next time, anybody have anything else they would like to say? I feel like I'm in church right now.
Um, Y'all come to the Radiant 9:30 and 11:30.
She's 11:30, so she likes to sleep in.
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for joining us today on our podcast. And until the next time, peace.